Oh, what's up there, dear listener? It's Matt here from Don't Be Hero podcast, here again with another bonus episode for you. This is another 10-minute review of a movie you might not have heard of, or a movie you might not know that might be swimming around in the ether of movies that we can go and watch. This is a movie that was provided by Strike Media, so thanks again, Strike Media, for providing this movie. We are going to be reviewing Scrap. This came out in 2022. It's just been released on digital release as of Friday the 13th of December. I saw this in the line of emails and wonderful stuff that we get from Strike, and you know what? Jumping off the back of what we reviewed from Portraits of a Dangerous Woman, if you haven't seen that episode, do check it out. If you haven't seen it, go and check it out. But again, I'm really personally, you know me, dear listener, by now, I'm really interested in proper human, deep-rooted stories. This looks like it had it, and I tell you what, straight off the bat here, it had it. What a movie this is. First things first, I will say go and watch it before I say anything more. Before I go into the synopsis and all that jazz, if you haven't already, go and check out all of our Christmas episodes. We're doing some wonderful festivity stuff with Charcuterie, who came on last week. We did The Merry Gentleman from Netflix. Honestly, I mean, there's something that you don't want to waste your time on. Don't watch that. Or watch the episode. At least listen to the episode, because it was kind of entertaining in a way. Also, Lee from Lights Camera Rant came with us as well, who reviewed Violent Night. That's a brilliant action movie. If you want to go and watch, that's on Netflix. Next week, I think, because we did a poll on Instagram to see whether we're going to be doing a Christmas horror story, which is a horror story about Christmas, and Jack Frost, which is a 1998 Michael Keaton version, which I think is just one. So I think we're going to be reviewing that on Monday, which is very exciting. So check out all of the stuff that we're doing, but let me go straight in with Scrap. So I'm going to go with a little synopsis with you, and then I'll give you my initial thoughts. All right. So Scrap is a movie that was directed, written, and starred by Vivian Kerr. It stars actors like Anthony Rapp, who was in the original Rent, the musical. But he was also in Star Trek Discovery, if you know that. Lana Parrilla, who was in Once Upon a Time. Beth Dover, who was in Outpost as well. So a really lovely cast of good actors as well. But let's go with the summary. So Beth has recently been laid off and struggles to maintain the appearance of a successful middle-class lifestyle, and as she bounces around Los Angeles, hoping to land a new job and change her situation before her estranged older brother Ben finds out. Beth must confront her own pride in order to reconnect with him and provide for her young daughter Birdie. Meanwhile, Ben and Stacy consider a third round of IVF, and Stacy, a successful attorney, must reevaluate her own conflicted relationship with motherhood. Okay, so first things first, straight off the bat, I've just got to say that this is a really human, authentic, real story. So if you are experienced going through struggles of IVF or adulting, I would say, just like jobs, of losing your job or losing key people in your relationship, whatever it might be, that might be spouses, whatever it might be. I'm just going to say, just make sure it touches all on that. If you're experiencing that, just be aware that that's what the movie is about. I'm not to say not to watch it, but I think for me, when I watched it, as somebody who is of that demographic, and I think adulting when as Forrest likes to joke, he likes to think that I'm in my 50s. I'm not. I'm in my mid-30s, all right? I'm in my mid-30s. Thank you, Forrest. But I'd like to say that this is a movie that very much plays on the struggles of adulthood, but also plays on the realness of shit happens in life, and how we react and how we deal with that individually, whether we avert it. So in Beth's case, let's say she averts quite a lot of her own responsibilities, whereas Ben is very much being very upfront with the struggles of going with the IVF with his partner and all that kind of stuff. So there's two strands from an adulting perspective that you can very much see. But man, I mean, what a story. I really, really loved it. I thought it was great. Not to say there weren't a couple of gripes here and there, but I found the movie quite tantalizing, and really watchable, and really great writing as well. It was paced fairly well. I want to say that the first kind of 10 minutes, we kind of see Beth living in her car, who's lost her job as well. She's interviewing for jobs that she's not getting, and she's also just living outside of kind of like residential suburban areas. Again, kind of trying to live within that kind of middle class society as well, still trying to keep up appearances and really struggling through. Her car gets broken into at one point, and this kind of all happens within a 10-15 minute kind of speed at the beginning of the act of the movie, and it was a bit long. If I was to go straight in with a little gripe, it felt like that bit could have just gone in a little bit cleaner and quicker. However, I'm just kind of going straight in with characters. I thought Beth's character, so she's we learn that she's split up with her, or separated from her ex-husband or ex-partner, who is we keep seeing like a withheld number throughout the movie on her phone, never answering it until later on, into kind of like into the middle of the movie. That turns out to be her ex-partner who's trying to meet up. Birdie is living with Ben, who is Beth's brother. We see and we'll talk about this in a moment, but we see a wonderful relationship, I think, with Beth and Ben, which I think is one of the biggest highlights of the movie, in my opinion. But Beth is struggling to deal with her situation, and struggling to own up to it in a way as well. There's a level for me as well where you can see there's somebody who's really gone through something quite traumatic as a split, and also losing their house. So she's lost her house. She's trying to kind of find her feet again. Without a want of trying, she's struggling to tell people that she's struggling. So there's lots of mental health issues within that. And also just being scared of life, being scared of when the shit hits the fan. You got to pick that shit up, unfortunately, and deal with it, which I think for me as an adult can really relate to. You can. I think I've seen some other reviews, and I've watched a couple of other reviews just because I was really interested to get other people's thoughts on it as well. And a couple of comments are that Beth's character's quite annoying. Now, I wouldn't say she's annoying. I wouldn't say that she's not written well at all. I think she's written brilliantly. You struggle to empathize with her situation because she's not owning up to what's going on in her life. I think that's where the conflict from the audience perspective to a character live in, and I think that's absolutely fine, because I think that's kind of the point, right? She does have a wonderful little arc at the end of the movie with her owning up to moving on. She has a confrontation. She has a one-night stand with her ex at one point, which I actually think, in terms of shooting, that was one of my favourite moments, when she kind of has the nightclub with her. She goes to the nightclub with her ex. They have all the drinks. They get drunk. They go to the hotel, and then this bit in the morning after, the husband bolts out. He's gone. We don't see him leave, but he's gone. She's late for Birdie's recital. And we see just before these wonderful shots of these small kind of like shot glass of whiskey and vodka, and we see just like the bed sheets scrumpled, and it's just really, it was a mode of shooting that we didn't see in the movie, and so when it happened, it felt incredibly real, and I thought it was really cool and a really nice choice. Anyway, so that's Beth. Really nice journey at the end. She kind of owns up to everything that she's doing. She moves forward into then getting a job in retail. She at the beginning of the movie, she meets this guy who works in a roller skating park, and he's like, "Oh yeah, there's loads of jobs in this retail park. They're just open. You can go." And she's like, "Oh, I'm not a retail person." And I think this is where I go. My heartstrings went, oh, because I think a lot of adults, particularly millennials, who have, and I'm going on a tangent here. I told you it might be a little bit more than 10 minutes. I feel like this is where millennials who have trained, who have worked and got degrees and become experts in a certain field, to then come out into that field, to get a job in that field, and then to be laid off for cuts, whatever it might be, for downsizing, which was her case in Beth, to then have to completely restart again, to not find a job in that industry, to have to completely upskill and find a new thing. And I think that's when I was like, oh my God, because COVID happened. We all remember that, guys, right? So during COVID, me as an arts person living in the creative arts and working within creative arts as well, had, at the time, a job where I was lucky to still being paid during COVID, but then also there were moments where the society, government, was telling us to change our skills, to go into something else, do something completely different. And I think the unwillingness to go, no, I don't want to do that. That's not my job. That's not my field. I don't want to do it. But then at the end of it, having to go, do you know what? I'm going to, because that's where I need to start again. And gosh, I kind of resonated with that, because sometimes you do. Sometimes in life you do just got to restart, and it's okay to restart and click that restart and then start a whole new life, a whole new job, just to build yourself up again. And that's what Beth did, and I loved that choice, and it was brilliant for her. Equally, in terms of a great story, Ben, who was her brother, who has I think, what was the character's name again? Was it Lana? Lana. It's played by Lana. Ben and Stacey, who are together, have a wonderful home, really middle class suburban kind of American life. This also felt very Modern Family in a way, like dramatic Modern Family. Let me put it in that way. Ben and Stacey are trying for a baby. They're trying for that next stage of life in family. They are taking care of Birdie, which is Beth's daughter, who's about 5 years old, and reluctantly at the beginning getting Beth to come into the house and getting her to kind of like help her get on her feet again. But they are going through their own struggles as well. Ben's a successful writer as well. He's got this kind of like fantasy novel that he's being pushed to kind of like write another 1 million. And they kind of literally mention the Game of Thrones writer J.R.R. Martin. And the story that he has is, I think, equally as tantalizing and watchable, because you've got a guy here who is just trying his hardest to make others happy. And I wonder whether there might have been an opportunity in the movie to see a little bit more of what he wanted authentically. We kind of got that at the end, but like, he is in service of his partner, he is in service of his sister. He has a strong relationship with Beth, and he helps out with money. He pays for her towards the end of the movie. He pays for Birdie's tuition fees, which then she becomes under fire. Beth does with the school. He helps out with putting Birdie up. He helped with a scrap in a confrontation with the ex-boyfriend. All of these things, right? And he's really, really connected with her. And this is all centered around the loss of their parents. So when they were younger, both Beth and Ben lost their parents. Ben effectively became the father and effectively raised Beth. And that is still very much ingrained in him, even as an adult, even when she's an adult and she should be able to take care of herself. Is there. It's a really conflicting, brilliant role to play. I really loved the relationship he had with his partner Stacey, going through the struggles of IVF. They were kind of going into that kind of third round, that last chance, and apparently there's a 70% chance within that, and she decides not to do it. She doesn't want it, and he has to kind of like swallow that. I think he kind of really, you can tell his objective within it was to have a family, to really settle down, to have kids, and he really loved having Birdie around in the house. And at that moment, he kind of realised that it might not happen. And then at the end of the movie, we kind of learn that Stacey goes, actually, I'll be interested. I don't want the pregnancy. I just want to be a mother. So they kind of might go down the route of adoption and all that kind of stuff, which is a nice little arc. But it ends really nicely because we see this wonderful shot at the end with Ben looking outside to Beth and Birdie, who are now newly homed. Beth's got a new job in retail, and Ben kind of like has this really lovely last shot where you see him kind of go, oh, I've got the family that I need. I've got all the family that I need in front of me now. And in that, because I was really worried he wasn't going to get kind of like an arc that was paid off, and it was in that one shot you could see that, oh, he's got what he's wanted. He's got the family he wanted. He got the kid that he wanted in Birdie. That's great. What a brilliant way to end. So I'm nearly at 15 minutes, guys. Oh, gosh, we're already over 10 minutes. But in terms of like sort of big favourite moments, there was one thing particularly. What I loved about the movie was the sound. It was very still and quiet for a long portion of the movie, until there was a little thread that their parents, Ben and Beth's parents, were really big like Billie Holiday fans, and Ben wanted to write a novel about Billie Holiday, but he's in this, I was going to say Final Fantasy here, he's this fantasy novelist that people want more of, and he just wants to do this novel about Billie Holiday, and it just can't seem to get it through with his publisher. They listen to Billie Holiday songs, or kind of old-timey songs, and the vinyl collection of their parents. And Ben has this collection, and we hear a Billie Holiday song for the first time. I want to say it's the first song and the first kind of sounds we hear, or kind of like musical score, but like that's like 20-25 minutes into the movie. And I thought, that's brilliant. That is brilliant. And also, when they cut out of the music and they cut out the sound, where they see the heightened states of tension in certain scenes, a kitchen scene between Ben and Beth, it's brilliant writing. You can hear a pin drop, right? You felt like you were in the kitchen with them. Brilliant. I think in terms of, again, performances, just all four of the cast, including Birdie, who was super cute, really great. Really lovely performances. So yeah, the sound was really, really good. It's one of my kind of highlights as well. But yeah, there we go. I think there's a little note. I'm gonna read it out, because it's worth it. There's a director's statement from Vivian herself. So again, this movie has won awards throughout the last couple of years. In America, that it's won kind of loads of festival awards. I can't say how many. More than 10. Oh, there you go. It's more than 10. So we've got a little statement here, because I thought I'd finish it with this, because it's really nice, again, getting the perspective of the director as well, without interviewing herself right now. But that would be cool, Vivian, if you're listening. It'd be great to interview you, because my goodness, what a story. Anyway, so in 2016, I was a mess. Though I would classify myself as an optimist and a glass half full person by nature, for the first time in my adult life, I felt really, really depressed. I'm going to keep going down. She talks kind of a lot about her personal kind of struggles in terms of surviving in the entertainment industry. Gosh, don't I know it? I understand that. But there's a bit at the bottom here that I would like to just kind of read out. I have now lost it. There we go. Okay. I decided I wanted to make a movie about not getting what you want in life. What do you want? What do you do with that? How do you pull yourself together and move forward? How do you take responsibility without looking at yourself with disgust in the mirror? In Scrap, Beth is someone who has a very specific idea of what she wanted in her life to look like. An expensive condo, handsome husband in a suit, fancy corporate job, and Starbucks. Lots of Starbucks. But it hasn't worked out. And now, even as she is driven to sleeping in her car and leaving her daughter Birdie with her brother Ben, she still isn't willing to ask for help or look inwards. Scrap is about the painful journey of letting go of your pride and letting go of the idea of what you thought your life would look like in order to make room for the life you're going to have. Brilliantly put. I'm just kind of to wrap it up right now as well, dear listener. I'm going to give this a 4 out of 5. 4 out of 5, maybe even a 4.5, but I'm going to say 4 out of 5 for definite. In terms of like crisp rating, because that's like what we do here on Don't Be a Hero podcast. We don't really take the ratings too seriously, do we? Oh, do you know what? I'm looking at them now. I'm going to say not just 1, but 2 pots. Pots? Are they pots? I think they're pots. 2 pots of Pringles. What flavour? Barbecue Tex-Mex. Are those 2 separate flavors? No, the barbecue ones. Are they separate? Wait, now I've got to look it up. Sorry, I'm going on my own. So this is when I realised the person that really derails the podcast is me. It is Texas barbecue sauce. there we go, Pringles Texas barbecue sauce. I'm going to say not one, but 2 of those. It's a 4 out of 5 for me. My goodness. Go and watch the movie. It is available on digital release. Scrap. It's worth it. Thank you very much for listening, dear listener. Have a wonderful rest of your day, whatever you're doing. We will check you out in our next episode. We will be reviewing Jack Frost for another little festive treat. All right, take care of yourself. See you later. Bye.